In this video, we're going to talk about the three different options that you can choose for a graphic frame. The graphic tool is located just about halfway, and it's a tool with a rectangle and an X through it. You'll notice that there's a rectangle just beneath that without an X. The one that we really want to work with is this one here with the X through it. If you click and hold the caret, you'll notice that I have a rectangle, an ellipse, and a polygon. Each one works exactly the same. These tools allow you to place either clip art, photos, logos, anything of a graphic nature into a frame. And these are images that you might have somewhere on your computer. This allows you to do something other than just copying and pasting because it'll be linked to your document, which means if you made changes to it in Photoshop, it would be linked to those changes. Now let's begin by using the rectangle frame tool. If I click on the rectangle frame tool and I click, drag, and drop a box, you'll notice that it has an X through it. Now just to show you an alternate, if I were to click, drag, and drop while holding the Shift key, I can get a perfect square. So if ever you want a perfect square, you hold the Shift key while you're building your rectangle, and if you don't, you just click, drag, and drop and let go what the shape that you wish. Now let's begin. I'm just going to delete this one. Let's begin by placing something within this rectangle. So I'm going to go up here to File and click on Place. Now I'm going to go directly to the OCMC photos provided by my client. You'll have photos also provided by your client that you're going to want to use. I'm going to double click on that folder and I'm going to select an image. Let's just begin by selecting this image and I'm going to click Open. Now since you're not familiar with this particular image, you may notice that the image that I want doesn't necessarily contain the entire photograph. In fact, if I click on the hand, you can notice that while I'm moving and I click and hold, do you see the rectangle, that orange rectangle that hovers? That's my whole picture. In fact, if I go to the bottom right, you'll notice there's the bottom right of the picture, and you'll notice if I go back to the hand and I click, drag, and drop, there's the top left of my picture. So what do I do if I want to have the entire picture fit into this little box? Well, there's actually a number of different ways that you can achieve that. Basically, what you want to do is you want to tell the object to fit in different ways, and you want to experiment a bit to see which one is the one that you want to choose. First and foremost, when I have the hand tool, that allows me to move the picture within the frame box. If I want to move the frame box itself, I want to be on the black triangle. So you'll notice that when I click and drag, now I've moved the actual frame box. So I will move it back in place. And the hand tool, if I move my cursor into the hand tool, that's how I can change the actual picture from within that frame. Now if I right click and I click on Fitting, there's a whole bunch of different options here for me to choose. Fill frame proportionally, fit content proportionally, fit frame to content, fit content to frame, and center the content. Let's begin by centering the content. Now the center of the image and the image itself, if I move my hand tool and I just click and hold, you'll notice that the actual content is completely centered. Now if you click and hold and don't move, then you get that shadow of an image, which is always really helpful when you're trying to recenter an image. Let's try another fitting option. If I right click and I go to Fitting, let's see what happens if I fit content to frame. By fitting the content to the frame, you'll notice that when I click and hold, there's nothing other than the content itself. What actually happened when I fit the content to the frame is I forced the image to push against the borders, so it stretches it and it squashes it just a little bit. By doing that, I've made the picture fit in its entirety, and it works okay because in this case it's a building. But if you were dealing with a person's face, that probably would really affect the quality of the image. So I'm doing a Control-Z really quick to give me an opportunity to try a different option. Let's go back and right click and click on Fitting. Now let's fill frame proportionally. What this did is it actually filled the content proportionally without actually distorting the image. If I click and hold, you'll notice that just above my frame, it actually chopped off some of the top portion. If I wanted to, then I could then replace and figure out what's the best placement of that. Let's look at one more option. I'm going to right click and click on fitting, and let's go fit frame to content. So in this particular case, I'm going to make the frame change, and it's going to become larger. What you need to do is you need to experiment and decide which type of fitting will work best for the image and the composition that you're working on.